YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Look at this. We've got the Beechcraft D18, brand new from E-flite. Absolutely gorgeous model, scale, replica, retracts, flaps. It's got the full works. And yes, we did start ours up with reverse thrust, but that's not it. There's more. We have reverse thrust and differential thrust, which is so sweet, both forward and backward. Something we didn't even know about in the unbox, but so cool. Okay, forward thrust coming. We're just gonna go ahead and get the takeoff flaps pulled down here and get back taxied and do a little takeoff and short flight for you. Flying today on 3200 4S. We're gonna show you just how tight a turn you can do with this Beechcraft. Amazing, super cool. Reverse thrust right into position. One of the best features of reverse thrust right there. All right, guys, without further ado, I am gonna clear the timer to 5 minutes. We had about 5 minutes on our first flight. This is our second flight in the beautiful sun. Here we go. Oh, absolutely gorgeous. Now, you guys may have noticed that was a little bit of a janky takeoff. That's because I kicked into the wind like crazy. Okay, let's go on a few steps there. Look at that thing thermaling, goodness gracious. Did you see that, camera crew? Mm-hmm. I'm about 50% throttle here, just so you guys know. Amazing handling characteristics. Definitely have a lot of expo on the elevator because we're using a smaller battery than what's called out. Not necessarily called out, but on the smaller side of what's called out, I should say. Okay, keeping in the throttle just a little bit so we don't stall. Look at that beauty going on the inside this time. You good? Mm-hmm. Definitely getting lots of thermal activity today. But boy, that thing looks good up against the green. Oh, and don't worry, you've only seen it at 50% throttle. Full landing flaps coming in here. Look at this thing slow down. Look at this. And we're not even in reverse thrust yet, folks. Just absolutely gorgeous into the takeoff flap so we can lose a little bit of altitude, go to the power lines, which will be coming out pretty shortly here. Hopefully in the next few weeks, hopefully a couple more videos and you guys won't have to look at those ugly things anymore. Okay, into the 50% throttle, let's show you a loop. 70% throttle. And we're just gonna come back around and do the same. Except I'm gonna cut around us and we're gonna go out to the other side of the runway. Slowing down, coming downhill, full landing flaps deployed, a little bit of braking on the motors. Kicked up the throttle about 5% just so we could see them keep moving. Absolutely gorgeous looking plane. I'm gonna cut the inside this time. We're definitely having a lot of thermal activity. It's kicking us around like crazy. But the thing is, the AS3X has this thing locked in. Now that I have my expo and rates set correct on the elevator, I'm in the outside hole. We didn't have our manual for the unbox, which is unusual for us, mostly because it's an early release. Okay, full throttle. Look at that beautiful rate of roll. Absolutely gorgeous. And here we go, right down the runway, out of the throttle, about 10% throttle now. Up and over the Eagle killing zone, take off flaps. We're gonna take a left-hand turn, opposite normal base leg. We're with the wind. Out of the wind now, it's dead calm. Okay, full landing flaps. Let's throw down those gear for a dirty pass. Maybe we'll take a touch and go. Nope, couldn't get it out of the takeoff, or excuse me, into the takeoff from the landing. Okay, gear going up. Here's the bird. Let's see if we do a formation flight. He said, heck no. Absolutely gorgeous looking plane up against those clouds. Guys, this plane flies really dang good. It is not dead calm. It looks like it's calm, but looks can be deceiving. This plane is definitely making me think of like Indiana Jones. I don't know why, probably because they have planes similar in that movie.
See the shadow going over the tree.
Love it.
Cool.
Tons of thermal. You see it jumping around out there. Okay, here come the gear. Let's just see if we can hit the ground, as in not crash. Okay, we got to bounce and go. Okay, out of the flaps, into the power. And it looks like we're 1 minute 17 away. We had about 25% 25% battery left after 5 minutes of reasonably average flying, I would say, on our first Maiden. It was a low light Maiden, and we just wanted to show this beautiful silver paint in all its glory. We have 1 minute left. I don't know if you guys could hear the gal talking. But guys, I'm just like, this plane is just fly. It's just, you give a little hint, it does what you want. You get off the sticks, it keeps flying itself. It's just gorgeous. And if you want to do something crazy, like a big stall turn, oh yeah, look at that, guys, with the differential thrust and the dual rudders, it is no problem whatsoever. And yes, this battery is crammed all the way to the nose because it is definitely on the smaller side, which is part of the reason why we have so much expo on our elevator. If you're flying on a bigger pack, which this thing could totally handle, you're not gonna need to set near as much expo. But we'll go ahead and switch sides. I think we're gonna try to get in for a final. Looks like 12 seconds left on the timer. We've been pretty relaxed on this flight. Okay, go to the inside, please. Perfect, right there. Landing flaps and gear. I don't know if we're gonna get it on this pass. I think I'm way too steep. I'm gonna just ride it in here, nice and shallow. See if I can, ooh, yeah. Oh yeah, reverse thrust saved the day, guys. Okay, so as you can see, with reverse thrust, you just really can slow that sucker down. I was on the ground for just a few seconds. I would have liked to see a more drawn out landing, but we just have this strangely confused wind. In fact, show the people, the flag is wrapped around this. That never happens, guys. That thing never gets wrapped. But even just coming to an idle, it turned the plane at wind vaned. But look how absolutely realistic and gorgeous that thing is. The Beechcraft D18 by E-flite. Absolutely well done. Love this thing. Very light on its feet, tons of power. You're not gonna have any issues. The dual 40 amp ESC is amazing. We did have to use our programming box to set up the reverse thrust, but we show you exactly how to do it. And no, we did not have a manual, so we had to wing it. Haha, pun intended. But guys, this plane is really a joy to fly. And look how sweet it looks with those props at different rates. That is so cool. It's like we're going through the engine startup procedure. Oh, so neat. So folks, if you're wanting to buy this plane, you think it might look good in your hangar, definitely look down below in the video description. If you're on a mobile device, you have to click that little down arrow. Looks kind of like an upside down carrot. And it will open up the video description where you can find links to this beautiful bird where you can buy your very own. We show this as a bind and fly, and we're using an NX8 as our transmitter. Nothing terribly crazy there. It's kind of the run of the mill right now. If you have a 10 channel, you can do even more cool stuff, I'm sure. But for now, the dual ESC is something that we're not used to from Avian. And so it's new. The first one we got was on the A10, and we were able to program that as well for reverse thrust. But doing the differential thrust, it's all handled through the smart technology. So we are using a 4S 3200 30C pack and absolutely no problems. And let's just talk about battery life. And we have flyby telemetry on this AR630. It's very bright out here, so I'm just gonna scroll over. It looks like our 14.0, and it's saying we have about 40% left on the battery pack. Now, we have been on the ground for a few minutes. We've been relaxing, just taxiing around. So my guess is if we were still flying, we'd probably be at about 33%. So conservatively, 6-7 minutes you should be able to do on a 3200. On a 5000, my guess is you'll probably get about 8 or 9 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes of flight time if you're not too crazy. But we were doing split S's and all sorts of crazy things up there. This thing looks good. It goes together super fantastically. And even though I'm gonna show it in the other flight, I'm just gonna show this right now. I'm just gonna lay this down so I don't accidentally cut myself. This wing, if you think it's too big, it's a 1.5 meter, but I feel like this thing is classed as like a 1.2. That's how hard it is to take this wing apart. And look at that. Then this plane becomes a very small. You don't even have to take both of them off, and you're still smaller than most 1.2s. Now, if you have to unbolt the tail, you can unbolt the tail, but I wouldn't recommend it because getting the control horn is a little bit weird, so I don't like doing that. But there again, if you pulled off both wingtips, this thing is packed up and ready to go in literally seconds. Just to show you the reinstall, because it's so complicated, you'll just take, and you have to find a place. The worst part is finding a place to press. And another thing we noticed on this canopy is it's a little bit hard to get the canopy to release. If you get a big battery in there, it will bind right here. So you may need to take just a little bit of the foam down if you go to 5,000. I recommend, if you're gonna do my expo settings, you're flying on the smaller packs. Otherwise, go with my standard 5, 10, 20 to start, and then back it off as needed. We actually go through that process in our evening flight. Not sure which one's gonna show better, so we'll pick the one that looks prettier, but I'll show you what we've got set up right now. We'll go around into the shade so you guys can see. And basically, when we do expo and dual rates, we understand it is very subjective. So if you guys come over here.
Yeah, I can see.
Dual rates in expo. You note I'm in the middle setting like always. See, there's my top setting, middle, and bottom. So ailerons didn't change, it's just normal. Elevator changed a lot, and rudder, just so you can see, it's exactly the same as I always set up. But the elevator I changed kind of a lot. See this? 80% rate, 35% expo in the middle. I have it set for 45 and 60 on the top end for more expo, and then I have it set to the 100% and 20, which is where we started from. And it was just way, 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 way too touchy. Probably because on a 3200, we're probably just a touch nose heavy. Now, why do we believe we're a touch nose heavy? Because we don't know what the CG is, because we didn't have a manual. So this is the first and only time we've gotten a plane without a manual. Well, there might've been one other time, but they sent us an electronic copy. So we just kind of lucked out on this one to not have it with us. But this plane is absolutely gorgeous. I highly recommend you consider getting one. I am a huge sucker for scale aircraft, especially scale aircraft with scale features. That's what I love. I love seeing the landing lights. I love seeing, or not so much the landing light, but the forward-facing light. I love seeing the nav lights. I love seeing differential thrust because I think it makes the plane look cooler. Even if you don't need it, that is so sweet, guys. You know, you can set up some fancy programming and make an engine startup sequence. You can flip one switch and have all the engines start. It would be so cool, but I'm not gonna mess with it. You guys can do that in your own time. Absolutely gorgeous plane. It's got all the things you want, and it's got none of the stuff you don't need. And also I wanna just show you, obviously we already showed all the telemetry. We're at about 3.84 volts per cell. So that would be a great stopping point. It doesn't even have to auto discharge, but just show them, look at the wind right now. See that? Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about, guys. Today, the wind is very confused. And if you're flying on a weird, confused day like that, what'll happen is you'll be flying along doing everything normal, and then all of a sudden you gain like 30 feet of altitude. But worse yet, you're coming in the wind and the wind stops. Then you fall. So this thing did amazing with that. It was no problem at all. Kind of hoping that after the thermal activity of the afternoon disappears, we'll have some beautiful, gorgeous sunset flight. But this thing is awesome. The Beechcraft D18, definitely worth considering. I would put it in your hangar for sure. And don't forget to buy from the links in the video description below to help support Brian Phillips RC. And speaking of Brian Phillips RC, there is tons more coming. And so we hope you guys will be around. And if you don't know, we're releasing tons of footage. So definitely, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. Then click the bell for notifications and definitely come back for more. But don't forget, smash the like button, guys. We also, if you haven't already realized, we have the unbox build and radio setup already published for you. When we do these early releases, we always make sure that's published like 1 minute early so that you guys can grab that and start absorbing it. And then the maiden flights are there. But we realize that most of you want to see the maiden flights just like us. So we put those things up and we want them to be in the last place. So if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below. Navigate over to www.brianphillipsrc.com if you want to see all the content we have, because there's literally so much. You almost can't use YouTube to search for it because we have thousands of videos. But if you're looking for something specifically, playlists are your friend, and our website will help you navigate those playlists. Also, if you have coupon codes and things like that available, we try to list them there. So we hope you'll be around for the next one. Thanks for watching. Come back for more. YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. We've got the D18 Beechcraft 1.5. Beautiful twin tail elevator, ailerons, flaps, and we set ours up. There are retracts. We set ours up with, obviously, a little self back taxiing method. Super cool. And yes, there are LEDs. Thank you, Horizon, for that. We're getting ready to take off right now. Full landing flaps out. Let's see how good we can taxi this sucker. Now, because we have an early release, we are not sure of the position of the CG. Oh yeah! Little pitch sensitivity there that I don't like. Okay, out of the flaps, out of the gear. Definitely pitchy. 3200 4S. If it's pitchy, you know what that means? Oh yeah. That means that our battery needs to be heavier, guys. And I am going to go to my High Expo. Oh man, that thing is gorgeous.
That's really cool.
It's definitely touchy. We need to do a little bit more adjustment. Oh yeah. Absolutely amazing. Guys, we finally got something new from Horizon that's not a re-release. And honestly, I'm super excited about this. 4S, 3200, 30C takeoff flaps coming in here. Oh man, it's just greasy. Now that being said, I definitely need to reduce the rates on my elevator. We chose the outside hole on the elevator because we didn't have our manual. Okay, full landing flaps, here we go, guys. If you want yours to fly like ours, the only thing I would recommend differently, that's full landing flaps. Holy cow, she's fast. Oh yeah, gotta do a nice loop. Okay, we'll just do another loop. Wow, that thing will pivot in a heartbeat. Look at that thing. I'm giving like almost no elevator. I need to kick my rates down to probably more like 70 or 75. Now let's do a little bull flying, full landing flaps coming in here. Slowing down the throttle. Camera crew, did you catch that? I'm gonna go in front of you this time.
Okay.
Just so we can catch a little different lighting condition out of the takeoff, into the takeoff flaps, out of the landing. The rudders really help. I wasn't sure. There's not a ton of power there. Let's come up, please, a little bit. I'm right there. Perfect. Okay, full landing flaps. We're gonna just get it in here. Oh, yes. I noticed a little bit of tail waggle. Okay, out of the, ooh, there's a bat over there. Or, wait, that's not a bat. Just a bigger bird, sorry. Okay, let's go about 3 steps toward the driveway. Here we go, okay, right there. Takeoff flaps, slowing it down, guys, slowing it down. Oh, yes, that is so gorgeous, folks. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if I've mentioned this lately, but those power lines are coming down. So if you want to help donate to our cause, it was very, very expensive. Like the cost of a family car, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Full landing flaps, but it's going to be absolutely gorgeous and way safer for PPG and the future full-scale aircraft that we're using off of this property. It's all about preservation of life. Mine. Okay, so look at that. We got beautiful, beautiful lines, guys. I'm gonna try to scroll a little bit. Oh yeah, we're about 33%. I haven't even thought about clicking the trims in, but the elevator, we didn't know where to put it because it is a little bit ambiguous on this plane. So I just got it adjusted and boy, that thing feels rock solid now. Oh, that is so cool. I'm a little bit nervous. I need you in the middle. Thank you, camera crew. So guys, if you are new to the channel, this is Brian Phillips RC. We review radio controlled airplanes, predominantly fixed wing. We do helicopters. We do quads occasionally, not a lot. And we just love aviation and we are truly into it. I am, at least. My camera crew and wonderful wife of many, many moons is ultra supportive. Shooting the moon here. We love bringing you guys quality long content. And when I say quality long content, I mean quality long form footage. Okay, we have a timer at counting down from 7, 2, 1. And I think that's probably about right on 3200 for us. Guys, I do think this plane could definitely use a bigger battery, potentially 2 bigger batteries. I don't know if you're gonna fit two 3200s, but what I wanna do is I wanna get those gear coming out. I wanna see if I can slow it down, and we'll see how this final looks. Gear coming out and landing flaps. We're just gonna really slow it down. Now remember, we have thrust reverse, so I'm gonna go ahead and be Johnny on the spot with that. Using the rudder, we're gonna point that and we're gonna take that opening. Okay, you good, camera crew?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I like it. I'm gonna go around once into the takeoff flaps only and getting into the silhouette so you guys can watch the cool landing gear effect. Oh yes. And what we do here on this channel is we unbox planes, we build them, we set up the radio, we make it so you guys can follow along. We try to get you a couple of flights, and then of course, we're here to help answer questions and things like that that come up over time. We've been kind of doing a bad job of keeping up, but that is one of our main aims on the channel. So if you want to help support us, buy the planes from the links in the video description below. We love bringing you guys the latest and greatest, and that is one of the best ways you can help support us. It's not just about small commissions, which we do get. It's more about clout with, woo! Oh, I didn't get to the thrust reverse quite in time, so I'm gonna go ahead and unthrust reverse, and I'm gonna back taxi it around just to show you some grass ops. Ooh, I do not like the tall grass though. So we're gonna pause, throttle cuts on, and we'll go up there and pick it up. So, thoughts on that plane? Definitely need a ton more expo if you're gonna fly this on 3200 4S. And by the way, that pack is slammed to the nose, meaning we're probably just a touch tail heavy. That means it's gonna tend to be more pitch sensitive. The elevator is gonna be overly sensitive, okay? And look at that beauty in the grass. Now, obviously, we've had a lot of rain here the last few days and the grass is tall. So, I mean, not obviously to you, but it's obviously to us. So I need to just mow this grass. I bet this thing would probably do okay on grass ops. Absolutely love the way it looks. It flies great. Silver props, counter rotating, thrust reverse. I mean, there's literally no features that we need on this plane that we didn't get. With the exception of the battery tray, if you need a 5000, might be a little bit tight. It's probably gonna be about as much as you can fit in there. Now, we do have telemetry, but it's flyby because it's an AR631, meaning that you won't get full telemetry when you're way out there, but you will as you fly by. That's what they mean by flyby. So, as you can see, we still got a pretty good amount of power left in that battery. And for the record, formally saying, my 3200 4S's are some of my most beat up packs because we have been just like using them like crazy, and I draw them to nothing. And when I say nothing, nothing is still not nothing in a LiPo. And if you guys aren't aware of that, we can help teach you about it here on Brian Phillips RC. But when I say low, I mean like 2.9 or 3 volts. So we draw them down totally. Now, that being said, let's do a little back taxi. We definitely aren't dead yet. If you're flying this plane with thrust reverse, make sure you reserve a little bit of power because you do need power to execute thrust reverse. I missed my switch by just the skin of my teeth. So really, I could have done it and it would have been effective. Here, I'll show you right now. See, missed it again because I was not Johnny on the spot. This grass is taller. I was in thrust reverse. Let's walk. See how it's wanting to tip up? So I definitely don't want to tempt fate. I'm gonna pick it up. We'll put it back onto the runway. Throttle cut is on. We don't do pilot fatigue setting on prop-driven planes because we're afraid that people will hurt themselves. But you can easily figure out how to do it by looking at some of our EDF planes. Just keep in mind, thrust reverse is one more thing that you have to mix in to the whole overall control scheme on a plane, okay? I do note that that tail dragger is out of alignment a little bit with the rudder. Very good ground handling. Oh, that is so cool. Whoa, do we have differential thrust happening? Or is that just a difference in the throttle? Look at that, guys. Look at that. Hold on a second. I want to try the other one. Are you kidding me? There's differential thrust.
How do we not know?
How do we not know this? Oh, that's because we didn't have a manual. So guys, all I'm gonna say is, wow, this plane has it all. Okay, we didn't know settings. Let's talk about this for a minute. Click, it comes equipped with a dual 40 amp Avian ESC, which has the capability of doing differential thrust. And you literally set it up with the programmer, and all you do is you say rudder or not. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm super excited about that. Yes, I did squish my thumb today. That hurt really bad, but I was able to fly, thank God. Okay, so dual rates and expo. So this is what we do. Since we need it here, I want that to be my new neutral setting, okay? So on ailerons, I'm actually okay. Elevator, it needs to be like 35 and like, I don't want to go too crazy. And I can always make this even more. So let's say it's 60 and like 45. That's going to be like intense, okay? And then we've got I'm crazy mode. This is going to be the where I think it needs to be, which is a little bit more than we had. Now, if I plop in a bigger pack, I can go right to that lower setting, okay? So I'll immediately regain that. Now, also, I also think that we didn't even give a chance to show you guys safe. But here's the thing. When we get early releases, we get them quick and we have to produce footage right away. It's been relatively good weather, so we're going to try for another flight, and we're super excited to play with this thing and get it out the door so you guys can watch the video. But I just want to point out a couple of things about this plane after flying. We didn't even know it had thrust reverse, excuse me. We didn't know if it had differential thrust, but look how freaking sweet that is. I love it. It is so cool. It's so realistic looking. And then also, thrust reverse. Oh, it works in thrust reverse too.
Oh my goodness.
That is so sweet. I did not know that was gonna happen. I wanna talk about this tail dragger. Definitely does wiggle when you're driving backward. We have seen that with the Draco. We've seen it with a bunch of other tail draggers. What's the other one that we had trouble with? It would actually bend. Oh, Carbon Z Cessna 150T
Yes.
did the same exact thing. You could definitely back up on pavement, but you had to really be aligned. This thing's not that bad because it is a fixed music wire, but it's a music wire, which means it wiggles. So just be aware of it. It's not like you're gonna sit there and back taxi it all the way down the runway, but look how amazing it looks. And that silver just pops against the green. And look how tight you can turn. I just love it. It looks so realistic. The LEDs are not overdone. They definitely can be seen, but they are not as bright as we've seen on some of the competitive offerings. And so in a 1.5 meter size, by the way, this 1.5 meter size is classed more like a 1.2 or a 1.3 in my opinion, because it happens to be a twin in a 1.5 meter. I feel like it's a good fit. That being said, I really want to fly again, but we've lost our light for the day. And I want to just show you how hard it is to break this plane down, okay? Watch this. That's how hard it is, guys. Okay, put it in the car, hon.
Sweet.
That's how hard it is.
That's it.
Just like the P-51 1.5, you can have this thing broke down in seconds. That is awesome. And by the way, you want to see how hard it is to put this plane back together? Look at this. Let's just show the people at home right now. You're just gonna line that thing up and just cram it in. Oh yeah, buddy. Woo! She's in. So without further ado, hopefully we've touched on the high points. This plane is sweet. It has all the tricks that you want. The flaps work good. Our mix was about right. We did a 6 and 10. If you want to stick around and see our full radio setup, we're gonna hopefully have that uploaded about a minute before this thing goes live, and so you can check it out at your convenience. Or maybe if you're not into that thing, you can just go ahead and follow the link in the video description below and buy this quick. They're gonna sell out really fast. If you want it, please order it now. Don't wait. It's gonna be gone, okay? And I don't wanna listen to people sobbing because they waited too long to order, because I would be sobbing if I waited too long to order, but I already have it, and so I'm very happy. So guys, stay tuned. So much more to come on Brian Phillips RC.